My name is Yuri. I am the agricultural technology teacher at AgriCareers School in Kuilsriver, the special needs school. And I'm here to present my subject to you and to all the kids and how to study for agritech or landbouwtech. So the people usually say landbouwtech is the easy one. It is easy if you know how to do your stuff. If you know your practical and you know your theory, you will be good to go. So that's just tips for success for agritech. I'll just introduce myself from AgriCareers School. So question 1, provide us with a brief outline as what you will be covering during the session. So the topics that will be covered in this session is the composition of the SBA, the marks that you have to do in class. So the type of test you're going to write, how many tasks you have, what is your PAT. In the format of the examination of the agritech paper, because there's a specific format and it doesn't change. It stays the same. Question 2 will always be this, question 3 will always be this, we'll get to that. And then examination requirements, what do you need, and a few study tips. So, what are the formal SBA and practical assessment tasks for my subject? You'll see in term 1, we have one practical task with a minimum of 50 marks and one test with a minimum of 15 marks. But the schools, we try to push the test for 100 marks because you are in Matric, and if we don't give you enough preparation, you won't really be ready for the trial examination in September. And then in term 2, we only have one test. It says a minimum of 50 marks, but if your school is up to standard, it will be 150 for the June. And then your trial examination, one paper of 200 marks of 3 hours each. And if you're in AgriCareers School and you have extra time, it's a 4-hour examination. So it means it's an extra 20 minutes per hour. So our PAT consists of 3 parts: the design portfolio, the thing that you have to make. That's the thing that your teacher will pester you for. It's where you do your drawings, where you tell me how much it will cost to make it and what you're going to build. You have to explain it. Now, every year the PAT changes for Matric. Some of the schools give you a standard PAT that is set up by the WCED or the National Education Department. And some schools, like in AgriCareers, we give our Matrics the ability to build their own PAT. So some guys will build the standard PAT, some guys will build their own PAT. For instance, my adopted daughter built a gate of 6 meters by 2 meters, which is not part of the PAT, but that was the thing she wanted to build. Manufacturing process, this is how you build your PAT during the year. So you start in January and you must be done by September. So this is where we as teachers check, how do you build it? Do you do your safety stuff? Do you wear your helmet? Do you wear your safety glasses? All of that stuff now. And then the last one is the final product. That is when your teacher will take your final PAT, the final product that you built, and then we will start marking it, looking for defects, effects, stuff like that. And then Mr. Van Zyl of the department will come to sign it off, and then you will be finished with your PAT. Your PAT mark is only allocated to you at the end of the year, so it doesn't really carry through the year. It's only at the end of the year. So, format of the trial and external examination question papers for agritech. So, it's one paper of 200 marks, 3 hours. Like I said, if you're in a special school and you have extra time, it becomes 4 hours, and it's usually in the afternoon from 2. So you'll be writing from 2 o'clock till about 6 if you have special needs. So what does it look like? Section A, question 1 is the normal monkey puzzle ABC questions, and then we have changed the underlined word, about 10 marks there, and then choose a word or term from column A to column B. That's usually 10 marks, and that's your first section is 40 marks, and that covers all the content. This will now be your safety, which your teacher must have drilled in you from grade 10. It'll be your equipment, it'll be your tools, it'll be everything, even irrigation will be covered there. And then we have our variety questions, 5 questions, questions 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay, so from question 2, it's usually materials, where you talk about different steels, types of steel like bronze, copper, and it will also be stuff like your fiberglass, and that will be covered by materials. Question 3 is usually energy. In Matric, it's alternative energy, and it'll be electric fencing, stuff like that. Question 4 is construction processes. This is where we talk about welding, your MIG welding, TIG welding, arc welding. All of that is covered in that area, construction and building. Question 5 is tools and implements that we use on the farm. In Matric, it's usually your tractors, your balers, all of that stuff, your plows. And in question 6 will be irrigation, which covers everything from center pivot irrigation even to drains that you have to put into your farm workers' houses and septic tanks, which is not a very fun thing to do practical wise. So question 4, topics should learners study for agritech paper, and what is the mark allocation of each of these topics? So section A, like we said, covers everything, but section 2 is materials and structures. 3 is energy, 4 is your skills and production process, 5 tools and implements, and 6 is water management, irrigation and water supply. So guys, the problem with this is the kids, and I see this with my own at home, you guys skip safety and then you chuck away 40 marks. If you do your safety, which is not covered in section B, you might be safe for section A, because most of the questions are safety. Sorry, Mr. Van Sale, for giving away the tips now. And in section B is when you look at your structure. I know this is also very boring in Matric, where you learn about bronze and copper and all of that stuff, but it's necessary to know this, because when you work on a farm with this, you're going to have to go into detail. It has a copper fitting, it has a bronze fitting, or it has this type of steel. What do we need to work with? Question 3, energy. If you look at the old question papers, they love wind energy and they also love thermal energy, but go look at all of the topics, especially your alternative energy for farms, because that's a big buzzword these days. And then question 4, your skills and construction processes. Now, this is where you have to look at your MIG, TIG, ARC. Now, if you are lucky and you are in a school with all of the stuff, and I won't be naming names, but Boland Landbouw is very close to here, you will have your TIG welders, your MIG welders, and your ARC welders. If you are not as lucky, and you may be in AgriCareers school like some of my students, you will have your MIG welder and your ARC welder, but you will learn about your different skills. So please, if you don't have the machines to do practical at your school, still study that specific thing, because we can't sit at the end of the year and say, oh, shame, this child came from this school, they didn't have the machines. It's in your book. You still have to know how to work it, even if you can't use them. Question 5, tools and implements. This is where we look at your tractors, your balers, your plows. All of this is stuff that, once again, not naming any names, but if you're in a big agriculture school, you will see this, and you are lucky. And if you're in a smaller agricultural school like AgriCareers school, we just learn about this. So if I can give you a tip, push your teacher to take you to these places where they build the implements. It gives you a lot of new information. And then the last one, water management. That is, according to me, the hardest part in your agritech, because it's usually the one that's not covered. You only write this question at the end of the year usually, and in the September. So go study that, because they like asking stuff there, especially your septic tanks. That actually pops up a lot. Some study tips for agritech. Where can you find study tips? On your tips for success, you can go look for that. And the 2021 National Examination Guidelines will also give you good study tips. Then there's also a glossary of past papers that you can find on the WCED website, where you can take the old papers out with memos and go study it. And then also practice your freehand drawings. There's always in question 3 or 4, there will be a freehand drawing. We have to draw something. Also in question 6, sometimes you do the septic tanks and stuff. Now, just a tip that's not on this. If you are in a special school, and I'm not naming any names, but I'm going to take AgriCareers as a suggestion, and it works because, like I said, I've got a child in that grade. Study together. Get a bunch of friends, make a video call, make a video chat, get somebody to read the questions and study together. It works, because sometimes you will have an idea or a different way of saying something that might find another person that will think the same as you, and that actually gives good tips. If I look at how my kids studied my matrics of last year, we had one girl that made all the notes, and then we had a big class call, and they were working through the notes, and they were working through each other, and one guy would say this and the other guy would say that, and they would find a way to study together. So guys, get your friends together, study, maak 'n plan. So and another tip, if you go onto YouTube and you type in my name, you will find YouTube videos that I set up for my kids at AgriCareers, which has Afrikaans and English on it. And please feel free to phone AgriCareers School, because we are there to help for kids that are in normal schools with special needs. just phone the school and we will contact, or you can contact us and we will find a way to help you. When you make sure that you know your basic processes, wind energy, all of that. So this is just an idea. This is where the WCET gives you where on to focus. Now they give you there your wind energy, solar energy, geothermal energy, bioenergy, arc welding, soft soldering, hard soldering, oxyacetylene. So basically go through all your basic processes and know your processes. Remember, most of you guys, you work with this in your workshops, you work with it in your class. You are lucky enough to stay maybe in an area where you have all of this. The guys that aren't so lucky, go onto the internet, go look for YouTube videos. If you are like me, just phone the big schools and ask, can't you come and look at this stuff? Sometimes your parents can just take you there, even organize with your school's teacher to take you to bigger schools or to places where you can go work with all of this. So please look at all of these processes that you have there on the thing and use a graphic organizer. Try to organize your stuff so you can see it. Now, this is just not just a tip for normal schools, also for special schools. Some of our kids can't really read, so we like to use our stuff in graphics. They like to see pictures. It's easy for them to work with pictures. So there's a graphic organizer, for instance, how a wind turbine works and how the solar works. So you've got your sun shining there, you've got your wind running, you've got your generator, and that's basically going to show you how to run your farmhouse. This is not the new big buzzword, because we are trying to go green and we also have a problem with electricity. So smart irrigation, there's another idea of a graphic. They can show you their smart irrigation technology. What type of controllers do we have? What add-on sensors do we have? And that is a way for you to remember it. And there's also a nice breakdown of how a wind turbine works. And that's also very nice to have. In your textbooks, you will find this as well. But if you look at your old question papers, you'll also find a lot of that. So that is also good to know, because this question has popped up like 5 or 6 years in a row. There's also one for how a water turbine will work. There's also another graphic you can go look at. Not too bad there. And know your instructional verbs of questions. And this is something that on a special school level that we struggle with, because some of our kids can't read, or they have for instance, I have a boy in my class that has a hearing aid, so he can't really verbalize good, so he doesn't understand the words because he can't hear it. So describe, state in words, and state in words the point of a structured process. So to describe is to explain it to me. And my tip to the kids usually is, you must explain it as the person marking your subject has never seen the subject before. I should be able to run to the Afrikaans teacher and say, read this. Do you understand this? Yes, I understand this. Why? So then you've done it right. Explain, express your answer in a cause and effect, or state the reason, or statement and reason. So if I ask you, explain how a French drain works, you can give me the points of what a French drain is constructed of, and then explain to me by using, maybe give a good reason. It works like this because of this. It makes it easier for us to mark, because we can go look for marks. Then sometimes you can say something differently and the answer will still be correct. Identify is just name essential characteristics. So identify the parts of a electric fence. And you just bullet and you say you need the wire, you need the generator, you need the earthing cable, stuff like that. Name, give the name of something. We show you a picture, name this. Tabulate, put it in a table, draw a table. In Afrikaans, tabuleer, boys. It's where you have to make that table. So if I ask you cause and effect. So the cause is I have a low ampage. My effect will be low penetration. So stuff like that. And then state, write down information without discussion. So just state the fact. So if I ask you, a MIG welder uses what type of gas? You say porter chute, or you say argon gas, stuff like that. So just plain statement. Question 6, any concluding remarks? This is something that I tell my kids and my own kid at home that we help. Don't ever think that you know everything. Don't ever think I know my subject, I won't study. We're going to catch you. Take your time. Study. If you don't understand, ask questions. There's no shame in asking for help. If you don't want to ask your teacher, ask your buddies. If you don't want to ask your buddies in the same school, find kids from other agricultural schools and ask them. And Guys, the best tip of all is find a way that works for you. You know, teachers in mainstream schools, I'm not going to name names because they're going to crucify me, like to say, underline this and study this. It doesn't work for everybody. Sometimes you need to hear something to understand it. Sometimes kids can't really read, they need to listen. Sometimes we need to draw pictures to make it work for us. So my tip to you is study, but study in the way that fits you. And don't wait till the day before, because that